What is a go-to joke you know nobody's heard before? Old man sitting on a porch when he sees a young man walk by. Dragging something behind him, old man says, "What you got there?" And the young man replies, "Chicken wire." Old man asks, "What are you doing with chicken wire?" Young man replies, "I'm going to catch me some chickens." The old man laughs and says, "You ain't catching no chickens with chicken wire." Sure enough, later that evening, the young man walks by with a mess of chickens all caught in the chicken wire. Next day, old man's sitting on his porch when the young man comes walking by. Dragging something behind him, old man says, "What you got there?" And the young man replies, "Duct tape." Old man again asks, "What are you doing with duct tape?" Young man replies, "I'm going to catch me some ducks." The old man laughs and says, "You ain't catching no ducks with duct tape." Sure enough, later that evening, the young man walks back with a mess of ducks all wrapped up in the duct tape. Third day, old man's sitting on his porch when the young man again comes walking by. Dragging something behind him, old man says, "What you got there?" And the young man replies, "Pussy willows." Old man says, "Wait up. Let me get my hat." Quote, "My wife said she wants to, experiment more in the bedroom. But it looks like I'm in the control group." What do you call a child born out of incest? A gross domestic product. What's the difference between a rib-eye steak and a meteorite? One's pretty meaty, and the other's a little meatier. This guy is feeling lonely and he decides to get an exotic pet. So he goes to the exotic pet store and looks around, and suddenly he sees that there's a sale. Rare giant talking centipede. With house. $100. He decides he wants a talking centipede. And takes it home. The guy and the centipede spend several days chatting and drinking beer. And they become good friends. One day, the guy says to the centipede, "Hey, centipede, let's go out to a movie." "Okay, 1 second," the centipede says. And he disappears into his house. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes, 15, 20, finally half an hour later the guy goes, "Hey centipede, you ready?" No answer. He taps on the house. Centipede. The centipede pokes his head out and says, "Hang on man, I'm putting my fucking shoes on." On Sunday I stuck my hand into a feather pillow and had a rummage around. I did the same on Monday and Tuesday. This morning I went to my psychotherapist and told him I've been feeling down for a few days. An elderly couple were in church during the Sunday morning sermon. All of a sudden the wife whispers to her husband, "I've just done a silent fart. What should I do?" The husband replies, "Turn up your hearing aids." Single quote. What do you get when you cross human DNA with goat DNA? You get kicked the hell out of the petting zoo. How do you make a car top? Tap on the brake, stupid. Two horses were fighting over a hay bale. It was the last straw. This is the only joke I know. A classic dumb blonde joke. A blonde is sitting in a shoe store surrounded by at least 50 boxes of shoes. She says to the shoe salesman, "None of these are good enough. Do you have some alligator shoes?" The exasperated salesman replies with some venom, "Lady, if you want alligator shoes, go get an alligator." Salesman driving home sees the blonde on the bank of the river. She is wrestling an alligator. An epic battle. At last, she throws the dead alligator on top of a pile of alligators next to her. While the salesman looks on in amazement, she says, "Damn, another one without shoes." I am Buzz Aldrin, the second man to step on the moon. Kneel before me. This joke was in The Sopranos. But I loved it so much. A rich man and a poor man are both buying anniversary gifts for their girlfriends. "What are you getting your girlfriend?" asks the poor man. And the rich man says, "I'm getting her a diamond ring and a Mercedes." "Why both?" asks the poor man. And the rich man says, "That way if she doesn't like the ring she can still enjoy the Mercedes when she returns the ring." And then the rich man asks the poor man, "What are you getting your girlfriend?" And the poor man says, "I'm buying her a pair of slippers and a dildo. That way if she doesn't like the slippers she can go fuck herself." Quote. Kid comes home from school and says, "Dad, why did you name me Achilles? He is a Greek hero and we have no Greek in our family." "Well son, you did make it through the Trojan Wall." Single quote. It's a long one, but it's good. 3 men were standing in line to get into heaven one day. Apparently it had been a pretty busy day, though, so Peter had to tell the first one, "Heaven's getting pretty close to full today, and I've been asked to admit only people who have had particularly horrible deaths. So what's your story?" So the first man replies, "Well, for a while I've suspected my wife has been cheating on me. So today I came home early to try to catch her red-handed. As I came into my 25th floor apartment, I could tell something was wrong. My wife was naked and there was a pile of men's clothing on the floor. I searched all over the apartment for the bastard, but didn't find anything. Finally, I went out to the balcony, and sure enough, there was this naked man hanging off the railing, 25 floors above ground. By now I was really mad, so I started beating on him and kicking him. But wouldn't you know it, he wouldn't fall off. So finally I went back into my apartment and got a hammer and starting hammering on his fingers. Of course, he couldn't stand that for long. So he let go and fell, but he fell into some bushes. Stunned but okay, I was so angry, I grabbed the refrigerator and threw it over the edge where it landed on him, killing him instantly. But all the stress and anger got to me, and I had a heart attack and died there on the balcony. That sounds like a pretty bad day to me," said Peter, and let the man in. The second man comes up and Peter explains to him about heaven being full, and again asks for his story. "It's been a very strange day. You see, I live on the 26th floor of an apartment building, and every morning I do naked yoga on my balcony. Well, this morning I must have slipped or something, because I fell over the edge. But I got lucky, and caught the railing of the balcony on the floor below me. I knew I couldn't hang on for very long, when suddenly this man burst out onto the balcony. I thought for sure I was saved. When he started beating on me and kicking me, I held on the best I could until he ran into the apartment and grabbed a hammer and started pounding on my hands. Finally I just let go. But again I got lucky and fell into the bushes below. Just when I was thinking I was going to be okay, this refrigerator comes falling out of the sky and crushes me instantly. And now I'm here." Once again, Peter had to concede that that sounded like a pretty horrible death. The third man came to the front of the line, and again Peter explained that heaven was full and asked for his story. The third man says, "Picture this. I'm hiding naked in a fridge." Single quote. An elderly couple were celebrating their 50-year anniversary at the local pub. After a couple of drinks, they started reminiscing about their sex life in the earlier stages of their marriage. They remembered one hot and heavy session they had behind the pub, with the husband doing her against the fence. They decided to try it again, to see if they could still do it. A policeman overheard their conversation, and decided to follow them outside as he didn't believe an elderly couple would ever be able to pull off such a maneuver. Lo and behold, the man had his wife up against the fence, going at it hammer and tong with loud moans and screams. When they had finally finished, the policeman had to know their secret and went over to ask. "Well," said the wife, "the last time we did that the fence wasn't electric." Why is North Korea an evil dictatorship? It has no soul. I was adopted by dolphins, but I don't really talk to them anymore. We just didn't click. 3 Catholic schoolgirls die in a bus crash and go to heaven. Street. Peter stands in front of the gate next to a golden font of holy water. He says, "Welcome little sisters. I'm so sorry you were taken before your time. You're all welcome, but I must ask you each a question." He goes to the first girl. "Mary Catherine, has any part of your body touched a boy's private parts?" Only my hands." Street. Peter nods and tells her, "Wash your hands in this font. Your sins will be cleansed and then you may enter the gates." And she does so. He turns to the second girl. "Mary Frances." The third girl interrupts. "Excuse me, Father. Could I gargle with that water real quick before Mary Frances sticks her ass in it?" A man was passing by a mental asylum and was curious because all the patients were shouting, 14, 14, 14. Now there was a huge wall that divided the public from the patients, so the man couldn't see what was going on. Because of his curiosity, he naturally wanted to see what was happening. He managed to find a peeping hole to look through. As soon as he looked through the hole, the man was promptly poked in the eye by a stick. That's when all the patients started shouting, 15, 15, 15. An elderly couple are in the doctor office. Doctor comes in and says to the old man, I need a urine sample, a stool sample, and a semen sample. The old man says, what? His wife says, he needs your underwear. Single quote. My girlfriend used to smoke after sex. Well, that stopped once we started using lube. Stolen from a previous joke. AskReddit. 3 men are walking one day when they are confronted by a genie. The genie, in his generosity, grants each man 3 wishes. The first man wishes to be married to the most beautiful woman in the world. And a stunning model is willed into existence, madly in love with him. The second wish is for nigh infinite wealth. And he immediately gets a notification on his banking app showing a deposit several figures long. The third man wishes for his left arm to always rotate counterclockwise. And his arm begins making strokes in the air. The first man then wishes for knowledge of all languages. And it is granted. The second man's second wish is for a spacious, luxurious mansion, and the deed to the estate is his. The third man wishes for his right arm to always rotate counterclockwise. And both of his arms are now making wide circles in opposite directions. The first man's final wish is to return to when he was younger. And he immediately ages back to when he was in his early 20s. The second man's final wish is for enlightenment. And the secrets of the universe are revealed to him. The third man's final wish is for his head to always nod up and down. And his head begins making large bobbing motions. The 3 men decide to reconvene years late to update each other on their wishes. The first man, with his eternal youth, seduces his beautiful wife in every language imaginable. The second man used his wealth and spacious estate to teach others the secrets of the universe. The third man approaches the others and says, guys, I think I fucked up. Single quote. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification button. See you next time.